Right, welcome to this tactics and showcase video for the Eldar Craftworlds, and it's Striking Scorpions here. It has to be my all-time favourite unit in Warhammer 40,000. The whole channel's named after them. So when I started the YouTube channel, I was painting up Eldar at the time, and that's where Striking Scorpion came from. So in this video, you'll see the models. I'm going to zoom in, take a closer look. A lot of people have been asking, can we have closer views of the models? These videos here, these tactics videos, they're showcase videos as well, and it gives you a chance to see the models a lot closer. And it's a great painting reference for you as well. And then we'll take a look at the rules. And this is chapter approved as well, so Striking Scorpions have been affected by some points reductions. So I think a very decent unit for what they can do. And for the cost of the known points, I think they're a brilliant choice to take. They're not a pivotal unit, I don't think, for your Eldar army, but a great addition to add in to your force. So I have 12 of them. I use squads of 10, but I have 12 painted up. I have a spare Striking Scorpion with a chainsword, and I also have a spare Exarch with the longer blade. The biting blade, but here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are all lead. So I got these when they were, well, this would be about 5 years ago or so. So that's when I was collecting the Eldar. Really, you'll see that if you go back to the very first battle reports on the channel. That's just me starting to collect Eldar and build an army up, and so that was the time I was starting to collect these. So these have been in games now for years on the channel, so a long legacy here for the Striking Scorpions. And Ariel Doomhand here, the famous Exarch, great many exploits if you check out the different battle reports that he's been involved in. So I think they're amazing models. The sculpt on them is incredible. I'm going to zoom in here, and then we'll take a closer look at these models. Right, so they are. And for the age of the models as well, I think they're an incredible sculpt. They're brilliant. So, Wargames Workshop released these in plastic in the near future. That's a question that I've had. If they ever did, they would be incredible kits for sure. You can imagine the kits that you get, the multiple arm poses and so on. You know, these are sculpted by hand. If they were you know, CAD designed, the crisp, clean edges on them, they would look absolutely incredible. No doubt Games Workshop will. Don't know how far in the future that's going to be. Perhaps low priority for them. But for new players getting into this, it's going to be all fine cast you're having to buy. So plastic would be preferable for these. But there he is, just there. And then what I did with the kit, or the lead kit for these, a number of them. You're quite limited, just sort of stick the arms on, but I did bend a number of the arms just to make some different poses. I love the chevrons here on the chainsword. Just the whole colour scheme for these is fantastic. They really are cool. There's another one there. So even with the lead kits, you can get different poses with them. And where they duplicate, you can just bend the arms a little bit to change things up. I'll show you all of those. Yeah. Here's one with the chainsaw down by his side. Another one. This one, do like this one with the blade across that way and the pistol firing it just there. Another one. So there's subtle differences just by bending the arms. You can do that. That's number 8. Number 9. And finally, Ariel Doomhand, the Exarch here with the Scorpion's Claw. Fantastic model. And if you see the channel icon, that's the photograph there that makes up the channel icon. So a lot of sentimental value of these Striking Scorpions. By default, they're always in my Eldar list, but I still rate them. They're not a useless unit for sure. Some interesting uses for them, but we'll cover that in the tactics side of things. A lot of people also ask, how did you paint these? I don't plan, because I've finished, I don't plan on getting any more of these. Don't plan on doing a painting tutorial for them. But I spray these white. That's how I would do them. White's a nice foundation colour. It means that everything's nice and bright for when you do your colours. So spray them white, and then the green is the old snot green. I think it's Warpstone Glow now. You need to check that, but it's Warpstone Glow. Green over the top. Then pick out the gold parts here. You can see it on his chest. The runes there. Some of the gold around here. And then the wash would be BL10 green. Now I put one coat over the top of that. You're picking out other details as well, but the green wash, BL10 green, flood that all in. And I may have done, I mean this is years ago, but I may have done a second coat of that just to enhance and add more depth to that green. So do one coat, and if it's not strong enough, then do a second wash over the top of that BL10 green wash. That's perfect for them. Then I can remember now. So what you have, see his leg here, you've got the armour plating. The raised armour plating I repaint with the Warpstone Glow, but the recesses I just leave with that washed colour. So then you get two tones of green there just because of the work that the wash has done. Then on the raised areas, I then mix the BL10 green with some, let's just get this right, some white paint and then some yellow as well. Flash Gits yellow, just to make it sort of a yellowy green. I didn't want it too pastel, so I then highlighted that that way, just building up, and it was probably one or two highlights. So one highlight around the edges and then extreme highlight sort of at the tips. See the tip of his claw, that's the brightest colour just there. And sort of the tips, see the top part of his kneecap, the brightest glow, and that gives you that nice clean cut armour look and really makes the green armour nice and glowing. So really happy with how the green came out for these. Very striking, appropriate word, but very striking unit. And that's what I wanted. You want the different aspects of the Eldar just to stand out and look very individual. Flash Gits yellow then, I then just simply pick out all the ribbing. Flash Gits yellow, just carefully paint around. It's all sculpted and raised for you, so you know where to paint. All these little chevrons all over the place, so just going around with all of that. And then a highlight, mixing the Flash Gits yellow with some white for a highlight, but just slightly, not too much. You do want it to be a strong yellow colour, not pastel. If the armour, I may have done this on here, if the armour does come out a bit too pastel in colour, a bit too washed out, a bit too white with the highlights, then you can simply take some yellow wash, water it down, and then just very carefully put that over the top, and that will yellow it a little bit, just to give it that warm green as opposed to a stark sort of pastel. I didn't want that kind of colour. Then just picking out the other details, picking out the gold and edging the black, but the main focus is that armour. So that's how I did the armour for those, and really happy with the result. So like a mini painting tutorial, painting guide for you here in this video, just to help you out if you're looking into painting striking scorpions. But a number of people have been asking how did you paint them, so there they are. Yeah, and you can see little chips here and there. These models have been involved in scores of battles, so I think they've worn pretty well. And for the chips, I can just simply touch those in and then give it a respray of varnish just to protect them. So there they are, striking scorpions. We'll take a look at the rules now. So it's the new Eldar Codex for 8th edition and chapter approved as well. So multiple functions for these. I really have found lots of uses for them. We'll do some examples and roll up some dice a bit later on. But as I said at the start, they're not one of your pivotal units. This is not your make or break unit for your Eldar army. They're just sort of a supporting unit. It's a useful resource to have. And I think with chapter approved now, they're an absolute bargain. So definitely encourage them to take them in your Eldar list, because they can be exceptionally useful. They be pretty good. So you go to your elites section, striking scorpions. Movement 7, just call out the points. I've marked the new points now in the book here. So they were 13 points a time, they're now 10. 10 points each, and what you get for 10 points, they're incredible. They really are good. So it's the cheapest they've ever been. In 7th edition I was paying, I think it was 210 points I was paying for striking scorpions. Now it's not much over 100 points, so they've come crashing down in points cost. Movement 7, it's nice and quick, just like regular armour. Regular Eldar, they're not being slowed down by the heavy aspect armour. Weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound. Do get a base of 2 attacks, nice and healthy. Leadership 8, and a 3+ save. Heavy aspect armor here, so decent armor save. Get them into cover, 2+ save. Hard to flush them out. You get 5 of them. You get an Exarch, and you can take another 5. So you can go up to units of 10 if you want to max them out. Each model is armed with a shuriken pistol. Shuriken pistol doesn't cost you anything, and that is range 12, so decent ranged weapon for a pistol, and that means that if you deep strike in more than 9 inches away, you've got that area where you can get into range, so they can descend down or land and then shoot. Pistol 1, remember you can fire them in close combat as well, so if you're involved in a close combat and it comes around to your turn, you then get to shoot the pistols in close combat. Strength 4, AP 0, damage 1, and if you roll a 6+ for this weapon, any wound roll of a 6+ for this weapon is AP -3 instead of 0. So here and there you'll pick out an AP -3 shot, which is good for bringing down things like Space Marines. Scorpion Chainsaw, you do actually have to pay for that still. It's 1 point, so 11 points each. So unit of 10 with the Exarch is 110 points, and then you just add on your extras on top of that just for the Exarch's weapons. But there's some clever ways to use these. We'll cover it in just, I've got a number of options lined up here. So the Striking Scorpion Exarch may replace their shuriken pistol with a Scorpion's Claw. This is my preferable choice. It is the more expensive. The Scorpion's Claw has actually come down in points as well. So it was 12 points, it's now 9 points for a very useful Eldar Power Fist. The great advantage for it, one of the great tactical things, if you have a squad of 10 and you have your Exarch buried in there, the opponent's the fist is going to cause the most trouble. The opponent has to chew through, if it's close combat, it's got to get through all these other 9 striking scorpions here to get to the Exarch, the one that's carrying the nasty weapon. So that's a great thing to have. He can't be picked out in a close combat. The opponent's got to try and get through the whole unit. So that's useful. You can bury your Exarch in there, and a number of times I've done that in games. The opponent's been gradually killing off, especially characters. You ambush a character, they kill off a few of the striking scorpions, but the Exarch's there still chucking out the damage. So the claw, you still get to shoot with it here. Range 12, assault 2, so you get 2 shots, strength 4, AP -0, 1 damage, and it's the same rules for shuriken. Then in close combat, it's ×2 strength, so strength 6 you'll be fighting it, AP -3, and D3 damage, and there's no minus to the hit roll, so you'll be hitting on 3+. The Exarch gets an extra wound, he's on 2 wounds, he does get the extra attack, 3 attacks. So 3 attacks, either 3s with this power claw here, or a power fist equivalent for the striking scorpions. So I think it's a great weapon. The other options is you may replace their scorpion chainsaw with a biting blade. Biting blades drop now, it was 8 points, it's now only 5. It's very, very cheap. Just 1 point more than a power sword. And the biting blade, I'll cover the grenades in just a moment. The biting blade is +2 strength, so fight at strength 5, AP -1, and a straight 2 damage. But I would rate the, depends what your situation is for points. That's an area where you can save a few points if you need to. If you're struggling to get the last few points into the list, then you can give the Exarch the biting blade. But by choice, I'd take the Scorpion's Claw, and it's served me well in many a game. So Scorpion Claw is great. So grenades, range 6. Grenade D6 is strength 4, but it is AP -1 and 1 damage. So they're decent enough, those grenades. I've used them a number of times. So plus grenades are great. So a very good grenade there. One of the best grenades actually. Standard grenades for any of the infantry that are out there. Ancient Doom, they do have battle focus, so you get your move, your advanced move, and then no minus to your shooting for assault weapons. Let's just check. It's very rare I would do this for these. This unit moves or advances in its movement phase, excluding heavy weapons, are used as if the unit had remained stationary. So yes, you can advance and still fire your pistols. Very useful. Okay, so battle focus there. The main emphasis for these is close combat. The aim for striking scorpions is to get them into close combat. So that's the if they're caught out and gradually getting shot at, they become weaker and weaker. You know, the weight of numbers is the good thing, and trying to get them into combat as quickly and as efficiently as possible. That's the big plan for those. Shooting is just a little bonus. You pick up a few wounds here and there, but really it's close combat is where they're best. Masters of Stealth. During deployment, you can set this unit up on the shadows instead of placing it on the battlefield. At the end of any of your movement phases, this unit can stalk from their hiding place, set it up anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 9 inches away from any models. Just the usual sort of deep strike ability there. That's not been affected by FAQ or chapter approved, I do not believe, because it's just a standard, just the usual rules for deep striking in, so that should be fine. Shadow Strike. Add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks for this unit, the target unit in cover. So I believe that would be close combat and for shooting. So be on 2s to hit. So try and target units in cover, get that extra bonus. Easy to forget that one. So then you've got rules here which give these a nasty edge. These are really good rules, both of these. First is Mandy Blasters at the beginning of each fight phase. This is every fight phase, not just the turn that you charge. Pick a single, and this is why these are more dangerous in numbers. A squad of 10 of these will cause trouble. You can pick a single enemy infantry unit within an inch of this unit, including like a character, an infantry character. Roll a d6 for each model in this unit. For each roll of a 6, the enemy suffers a mortal wound. That's deadly. It really is deadly, especially towards characters. And I would see these as characters would be a tasty target for them. First of all, because of the Scorpion's Claw, because the character's got to try and hack his way through all of these models before they can get through to your Exarch. And then the second reason is Mandy Blasters, the ability to dish out a load of mortal wounds. And if you roll 10 dice, you get 4 6s. The character's in trouble. Mandy Blasters, fantastic. And then Sustained Attack. Each time you roll a hit roll of 6+ when making a close combat attack for striking Scorpion Exarch, that model can immediately make another close combat attack using the same weapon. These extra attacks cannot guarantee any additional attacks. Cannot generate any extra additional attacks. So 3 attacks yet, but you get 6 or another couple of 6s, all of a sudden you get more attacks. So a nice edge to add on to the striking Scorpion Exarch as well. So all in all, for what you're paying, I think they're a really, really good unit. And so cheap. 110 points, 119, 118 points, I believe, if you're going to go for the Claw. That's very, very cheap for a unit of infantry. And you know, you've got a 3+ cover save here, loads of attacks, ability to do mortal wounds, and a deadly Exarch there that can be equipped really, really well. So I think for points wise, Scorpions are a bargain. But don't take them as a pivotal unit for your army. Take them just as a supporting unit that you can use to help out other units and just to join in with a fight. But you're not depending on them. So if they are blown away and destroyed, it's no big loss. And for that kind of points, just stick them in your force for sure. But I would recommend a larger unit. Take the risk of trying to get them into close combat. The downside with these, the big downside, is when you deep strike. It's quite hard to make that 9-inch charge, and that could be the downfall. So you deep strike them in, it all looks good, make your charge, and you fail. And then they're sort of caught out in the open. So that's when they've struggled. Maybe another option is to let them move 7 and just advance them up with the army, keep them in cover, stealthily moving around, stick them out on the flank somewhere and just move them around. But you lose the ambush ability. And then you could try and help them out to move quicker with a couple of little things that you can use. Yeah, you can go for quicken or restrain. You've got a Warlock or a Spirit Seer nearby. Infantry or biker unit immediately moves with a movement phase, and they can still get to assault, so you can go 7 and then 7 again, and then still be able to assault. That would speed them up, give them a 14-inch move in total. That would be very useful. The other ability is to have my avatar nearby. The Siriani units within 12 of him do not take morale tests. That would help them out for a larger unit, and reroll failed charges. That's useful as well. So either moving up together or deep striking them in just near where the avatar is. So that's another useful combination. And then also in your stratagems, yeah, can go for matchless agility. Use a stratagem before moving a Syrian unit from your army in the movement phase. If the unit advances, add 6 to the movement to the d6. They give sort of a guaranteed bit of speed. And then I give them a 13-inch move if you're looking to get them into position. So that's useful as well. Okay. So the primary use for these then is characters. And the ability to deep strike, land behind the enemy lines, single out a character somewhere, and charge them in. Fantastic if you're able to do that. I'd happily charge them in against a tactical squad, no problem at all. They should have the edge in close combat against like a 10-man tactical squad. We're going to roll that up in just a moment. So that kind of target as well. So they're useful. And again, not expecting them to change the game and to be that pivotal unit, but just to contribute to the overall plan. For sure. Sometimes I've kept them out of the fight and have deep strike them in at some point in the game on an objective I needed to hold, and they've just sat there and they've just picked up loads of points for me during the game. So tactical flexibility for sure, because I will just potentially deep strike them in. So I rate them. Maybe you disagree, but leave your own comments in the comments section below. We're going to roll up some examples now of how I would use them. So let's say you have deep striked in. I'm going to illustrate the danger here. We'll try and charge in. 9 required. Failed. And then you've got a potential, using a command point for a reroll. Failed. Disaster. We'll try again. Failed. We'll reroll the 2. Using up command points. Failed again. 9. Failed. Got it with a reroll, but we've had to use a command point. So 1 out of 3 so far. 7. Not too bad a roll, but it's nowhere near enough. Command reroll required again to get them into close combat. You see the danger. I'm having doubts about that tactic now for those, because then you've lost initiative. If you fail to make it into close combat, you've lost initiative. The opponent has a chance to try and blow them away, and then even if you cause like casualties like this, they've then lost their effectiveness. Much more effective in their maximum size. So you're going to have to be really crafty of how you use these. May well tap into some warlock powers. Yeah. And some stealthy, sort of clever use of them. Sometimes you can position them onto an objective and just sit there and play defensively. And then when your opponent gets too close, then charge out and play them as a sort of a counter maneuver. So that's another option. But anyway, we'll say that they make it into combat with these. We'll do a bit of Overwatch just to be realistic. So there's last cannon. And then the bolt pistol will be in, misses, and then there'll be 16 bolter shots here with these Imperial Fists, which I need to rebase these onto the bigger, and to do those quite soon, get them rebased on the bigger bases. So hoping now that the heavy aspect armour will kick in. 3s for wounds, here we go, 3 pluses, we'll call 3 casualties, we'll keep going. And we'll say that we make it into close combat, like so. Numbers are down, but this may well illustrate just how effective these can be. Alright, so we'll strike first here. So first thing we do then is Mandiblasters. That'll be 7. Looking for 6s, so we've got 1. So one of the Marines can be brought down here with a mortal wound. She's been sprayed in the face here by this Mandiblaster attack. Then we'll do the Exarch. So 3 attack. This is with no help, no Exarchs nearby, no extra stratagems being used, or no Autarchs nearby, just on a straight dice rolls here. So yeah, not so good, just the 1 hit. I think I'm going to struggle here. Do get the wound. -3, 6 up for a save. Saved, okay. And then the chainswords. So 6. 12 attacks. Need 3s. Get your +1 strength actually for the chainsword. So I'm forced to wound. This is a disastrous round. Killed another Marine. Okay. There's 2 Marines brought down. We'll see if we can survive now. So 3 attacks in total with the Sergeant. There's another 5. Number 2. 3s for hits. 3s for wounds. This is good fighting from the fists here. Heavy aspect armour has really helped out. I've just lost 2. So down a bit here, but the Scorpion's stuck in. We'll go on to another round of close combat. So I believe the Mandiblasters get to strike here. That's what you're looking for. That's what they can do. All of a sudden, 2 mortal wounds kick in, 2 Marines brought down. Yeah, so just it's at the beginning of each fight phase. So Mandiblaster attacks straight away. Well worth remembering that. Just immediately do Mandiblaster attacks, whatever happens. So that's knocked out 2 Marines. We'll then let the Marines fight first here, just to be fair. It's their turn. 3s for hits. 2 wounds. Heavy aspect armor. Found another one, so I've lost one of them. And then we'll go for the Exarch. Better. And he's got himself an extra attack, which doesn't hit. 2 wounds come through. 6 is needed. No, all of a sudden, 2 more Marines brought down. This is looking better. And then 6 attacks. See the way they're just quite happy to grind away in close combat. The Scorpions here, and they're starting to get the edge now in this fight. 4s to wound. 3 up save. No, another Marine brought down. All of a sudden, the Scorpion, and this has happened so many times in games, is starting to tip the scale in this fight. So that's the end of that turn. Just not worry about morale here, we'll just keep going. Now it comes over to the Scorpion's turn. So Mandiblasters. Nothing. Sometimes you'll get nothing, other times you'll roll up 4 6s and get an amazing result. Then the Exarch. Ah, that's what you need. He could wipe the squad out here. Oh wow. This is Ariel Doom hand here. 3s. Ah, shame. And then 6s to save. No, double 1s. Those 2 gone. And then 6 remaining attacks. Three wounds. Sergeant's surely in trouble. Space Marine Sergeant, I think, is 1 wound, so I think he's dead. So Scorpions have prevailed there because they're a larger unit. If that was a smaller unit of 8 or 7 or 6, not much impact. Because they're a unit of 10, they've taken on a full tactical squad here of Marines. They've taken bad casualties in Overwatch, a bad round of close combat on the first time around, but then they've actually managed to chew through the entire squad, and you've still got 3 of these left as bodyguards, and importantly the Exarch still alive. They're nasty. There's still function here for this unit here. They can sneak about and move on to pick on another target. So, and points wise, yeah, that is in total as a lot cheaper than that tactical squad, about 50 points cheaper. So they've done very well. So I hope it's given you an idea of their use. I recommend you go for a bigger unit of 10 if you can. Because of the impact they can make. You've seen them wipe out a tactical squad there, and that's mission accomplished for them in the game. You know, they've easily paid for their points, and you've still got some kind of unit left. We'll go on to a character now. Let's say that an opportunity's come up in the game where there's an opportunity to charge into a character, isolated character, and then now these guys. And again, he's about 110 odd points. So points wise, pretty even, but this is their speciality, killing characters. So Chaplain Terminator armor, we'll say the charge goes ahead. We'll rapid fire an Overwatch here, nothing. We'll say they make it in. I'll just roll. Yeah, they're up for the fight. 10. So in they go. This is the golden opportunity here for these. And say you've deep striked in, your opponent, you've waited till turn 2, turn 3, and deep striking in. There's a gap's opened up in the line. These have turned up and then have made their charge. This is the ideal situation for these. And even if it all goes wrong and they're wiped out, they will divert a fair bit of attention. There's a 3+ armor save to get through. And then, because of their points, it's not such a bad loss. 118 points loss from an army is not too bad, especially if you're playing 2,000 points. So it's not the end of the world if they don't make the charge. And if they don't, the opponent's got to use a lot of effort to try and get rid of them, especially perhaps if you land them in cover. Try and charge out from that, because if they don't make the charge, they'll be getting their 2 up save, and it'll take a fair bit to try and remove them entirely. So 5 wounds to try and get through here. The first thing we do is Mandiblaster attacks. So it needs 6s. He's carrying an invuln save, but yeah, there it is. 2 6s. So 2 wounds taken, and it's an excellent start. Here, the next dangerous part is the Exarch. 3 attacks. There's a 6, so we'll take that as an extra attack, which misses. 3s to wound. Fouled this time around, but he'll sit there. The chaplain will not be able to get to. Take a fair bit of chewing to get through. Then regular striking scorpion attacks, which will be 18 attacks. Now they'll struggle here against the Terminator armor, but still, they can grind away any ones that are rolled up. Chaplain will be in trouble. Claws because of the extra strength, which is helpful. Statistically, Chaplain should foul one of these, which he has. Alright, so now he's taken 3 wounds. He's half dead. Not too bad. Chaplain can fight back. 2s to hit. Be 2s to wound. Yep, and it'd be AP -1. So 4 up save. See, heavy aspect time has helped out. Just 1 casualty taken. So be very happy with that result. Next round of combat, Chaplain will fight first, but Mandy Blasters, remember that, you're going to get 9. If you roll well, this will be enough to finish the Chaplain off. Mortal wounds are deadly. There's another 1. Could have done better there, but got another 1. Chaplain's almost gone. And then Chaplain can fight. 2s, 2s, and 4s to save. Double 4, saved. Right, Exarch. Got his 2 hits, got his 2 wounds, 4 up invuln save, fouled 1, and then D3. It doesn't matter, he's gone, so Chaplain destroyed. So that's the opportunity there. And maybe there's 2 characters. There's 2 Primaris Lieutenants, for example, or a Librarian or something that they cluster together. Charge into both, put Mandy Blaster attacks into one, Scorpion Exarch into the other, and distribute the attacks around. There's plenty of potential there to cause trouble, for sure. But character killing, I think, is one of their specialities, especially with the ability to deep strike. So there it is. That's how I use the striking scorpions. Just the downside of them is that trying to roll that 9 to charge is difficult to do it unless you've got some kind of help, the ability to re-roll charges, for example, or maybe just sneaking them up the table and using psychic powers to move them up nice and quick. But delivery is the key with those, trying to deliver them in close combat. Would you stick them inside a Wave Serpent? I doubt it. I don't know many Eldar players that would, but that might be a possibility, just transport them around. I used to do that in 7th edition. I used to then flank with the Scorpions. The transport could go with them, and I'd get the Wave Serpent, and those would turn up on one flank. That was a pretty useful combination, but I can't do that anymore. So I think fighting on foot, and just have these as a roaming unit, sort of a unit that has free reign that you can bring down anywhere on the battlefield. But tactically, I think they're useful enough and difficult enough to deal with, to free up armor save, get them into cover, tough enough, and then once they reach in close combat, the potential there to deal with these kind of targets very well indeed. But there it is. That's the tactics to showcase for the striking scorpions. Keep a lookout for more Eldar Tactica as I assemble my Eldar army. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.